Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
It was mid-December in the year 2025. A feeling of worry was across the nation. People talked about money problems everywhere. President Donald Trump, the current President of the United States, faced a difficult time. His support for how he handled the economy was lower than ever before. Many millions of Americans were finding it very hard to afford basic things. Buying groceries, filling up cars with gas, and paying for rent became bigger struggles each month. Life was getting more expensive for everyone. President Trump knew he had to act. He needed to turn things around quickly. There were important elections coming up in 2026 for Congress. If his Republican Party lost control of Congress, it would be a major problem for his plans. So he took a big risk. He decided to visit a small town in North Carolina. This town was not chosen by chance. It was a very specific, strategic place. Here he would deliver a speech. This speech had to be powerful. It could either save his party's power in Congress or make sure they lost it. The political pressure was very high. Voters all over the country felt worried about their money and their future. President Trump had made many promises about a strong economy. He often spoke of great success, but for many working families, what he promised did not match their daily struggles. The cost of living was still a heavy burden.
This difference between the president's words and people's real lives created a big conflict. Everyone wondered what would happen. The event was ready. President Trump was about to speak. But there was a deeper question. Why was this exact small town so important? Why was this specific night chosen for such a big speech? The answer was not simple. It held a hidden political strategy, a plan that could truly change the future of the nation and its politics. 2. A special place. Rocky Mount, North Carolina, was the chosen place. It is a city of about 54,300 people. The town has a long history. It was once a very busy center for making trains and selling tobacco. Now you can see old smokestacks and quiet train tracks. They tell a story of hard times and jobs lost over many years. Many people in Rocky Mount have faced economic problems. In August 2025, the city's unemployment rate was 5.5%. This was higher than the rest of the country, showing the town's ongoing money problems. President Donald Trump picked Rocky Mount for a clear reason. The town sits inside a new voting district. State lawmakers, who are Republicans, redrew the lines for this district. This new map is designed to give Republicans an advantage in elections. It is a very smart plan to help their party keep its power in Congress. This redrawing is part of a bigger plan across the nation by the Republican Party.
Republicans have a very small lead in the House of Representatives. There are 219 Republicans and 213 Democrats. This is one of the smallest leads in many years. If Republicans lose just 3 seats, they will lose control of the House. This makes the situation very tense for the Republican Party.
They are under immense pressure, hoping voters will not turn against them. President Trump came to Rocky Mount to speak to these important voters. He wanted to talk about his economic plans and promises. His speech was a vital part of the Republican strategy to keep their majority. The success of this strategy, especially in districts like Rocky Mount, was not guaranteed. The stage was now ready. President Trump walked toward the podium. What would he say to this crowd, made of hopeful supporters and voters who might be skeptical? 3. The big speech. The Rocky Mount Event Center buzzed with anticipation. Thousands of people filled the hall, waiting for the president. On December 19, 2025, President Donald Trump stepped onto the brightly lit stage. The crowd roared, a wave of cheers and applause rising loudly. People waved their flags and signs, and the energy in the room was electric as the music faded for his speech. President Trump began his address with great confidence. He spoke about transforming the country's economy, painting a picture of an economy reborn. He said he took office after inheriting a mess from the previous administration, a time when he claimed America was dead. But now he proudly stated, under his leadership, the nation had become the hottest country anywhere in the world. He even gave his own economic work an A+++++ grade. To support his strong claims, President Trump highlighted certain achievements. He pointed to strong job growth, especially, he said, in private businesses. He also mentioned the One Big Beautiful Bill, a large law passed earlier in his presidency. He presented this bill as a major success and a foundation for the country's current economic health. The crowd listened closely, many nodding their heads and cheering. The energy in the room was full of excitement and belief in the president's words. His message was clear: the economy was doing wonderfully. But his strong words about booming success stood against a different truth for many. Outside the rally's walls, millions of Americans knew about high prices for food, gas, and housing. The stark gap between his grand claims and their daily struggles created a quiet tension, even amidst the loud cheers. Then, at the peak of the rally's excitement, President Trump paused. With a dramatic flair, he announced a big surprise. It was a direct money payment, he said, set to go to a very specific group of Americans. This unexpected gift was designed to be a crucial, game-changing move. 4. A gift for soldiers. President Donald Trump then made his biggest announcement of the night. It was a special payment for military members, called the 1776 Warrior Dividend. This dividend would go to more than 1,450,000 active duty and reserve service members. Each person would receive $1,776. The timing was set perfectly, with checks scheduled to arrive right before Christmas. This was a clear message to show support for the military during the holiday season. The number 1,776 held great meaning for many Americans. It was the year the United States declared its independence, showing a deep respect for the nation's history and its armed forces. Sending these checks to so many military families was a very smart political move for President Trump. It gave a strong message of care and looked like a generous holiday gift, arriving just when many families might need extra financial help. This action brought an immediate political win for the president and his party. However, the money for these payments was not new. It did not come from newly earned government money or tariff revenues, as some might have believed. Instead, the funds actually came from $2.6 billion in housing allowance supplements.
Congress had already approved this money in a defense bill passed earlier in the year. President Trump's administration simply rebranded this existing housing money. They presented it as a new, one-time bonus for soldiers, giving it a powerful new name and story. This was a masterful piece of political theater. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth immediately issued a statement supporting the initiative. He quickly framed it as strong evidence of President Trump's deep commitment to military personnel and their families. News channels across the country quickly shared the story of the holiday bonus. Many people celebrated this tangible gift for military families just before Christmas, creating a wave of positive sentiment. Yet a critical question lingered in the air. Could this single one-time gift make people truly forget about their ongoing daily struggles? Would a festive holiday bonus really erase the constant worry that the cost of almost everything else, from groceries to gas to housing, continued to rise steadily each day? The answer to this question would be important for the political future. 5. The real problem. After the rally ended, the loud applause and cheerful shouts quickly faded. Inside the event center, President Donald Trump, the current president of the U.S., had painted a picture of a strong and growing economy. He spoke of jobs and success, telling the crowd that America was thriving. But outside those walls, for many people in Rocky Mount and across the country, daily life remained a struggle. The positive message from the president did not match the reality they faced every day. New information from public polls showed a clear difference. Many Americans did not agree with President Trump's view of the economy. An Associated Press NORC poll done in early December 2025 found that only 31% of people approved of his work on the economy. This was his lowest approval ever on this important topic during his time as president. Another poll by Reuters Ipsos showed that his overall approval was down to 39%. Voters were especially unhappy with how he managed the economy. His approval rating for the cost of living, meaning how much things cost, was even lower, at just 27%. This showed that high prices were a very real and painful issue for many families. A striking 68% of voters believed the nation's economy was in a bad, even dire state. This was not just a feeling among those who did not support the president. 44% of Republicans, people from President Trump's own party,
also felt this way. About half of all Americans said they found it hard to buy holiday gifts in 2025. A large number of people reported that rising costs for groceries and utilities were causing serious financial problems.
In Rocky Mount, residents understood these struggles firsthand. They listened to the president's speech, but their own experiences were different. Many shared stories of how much more expensive food had become. Filling up a car with gas was a constant worry. Basic needs, like keeping the lights on, felt harder to afford. The president said prices were going down, but people saw their grocery bills getting bigger. This created a wide gap between his hopeful words and the everyday difficulties millions faced. This difference showed just how big President Trump's political problem truly was. All these signs pointed to one major cause of the problem, a policy that was a cornerstone of President Trump's entire economic plan. It was this specific policy that many believed was making everything more expensive for American families. The price of tariffs. President Trump often spoke about his tariffs. He said they were a great success, bringing in many billions of dollars for the country. He also claimed that these tariffs did not make things more expensive for American people. However, this idea was not true for many. Important financial groups like the Federal Reserve had different findings. Studies from universities across the country also showed concerns. They explained that tariffs acted like a hidden tax on families in America. Because of these tariffs, the prices of many everyday items went up. Things like food, clothes, and other products became more costly.
For example, reports showed that tariffs could increase the cost of fresh food, like vegetables, by 2 to 4%. Clothes could become 17% more expensive. Overall, a family might lose about $3,800 in their buying power each year because of tariffs. This meant they could buy less with their money. For families who already had little money, the tariffs could take away around $1,700 each year. Most people understood this connection. A poll in November 2025 found that 77% of voters believed tariffs were a cause of higher prices. This made a big problem for President Donald Trump. His main economic tool, tariffs, seemed to be making the affordability crisis worse, not better. During his speech, President Trump talked about these worries, but his response surprised many listeners. He suggested that families could simply change what they bought. He said people could give up certain products. He even told a story about parents who could buy their children just 2 or 3 dolls instead of 37. This advice showed a big difference between what the president said and what people were experiencing. He seemed to put the blame on how people spent their money instead of on his government's policies. This situation created a serious problem for another powerful group, the Federal Reserve.
President Trump wanted them to lower interest rates to help the economy grow faster. But the Federal Reserve worried that tariffs were already pushing prices up. If they lowered rates too much, prices might rise even more quickly. This left the Federal Reserve in a very difficult place. They faced a tough choice, with no easy way to fix both rising prices and slow growth at the same time. 7. A big election is coming. President Donald Trump's speech in North Carolina was more than just a rally. It was the crucial opening move in a massive political strategy for the 2026 midterm elections. The road ahead for Republicans looks very dangerous. They have an extremely small majority in the House of Representatives. Out of 435 seats, Republicans hold 219, while Democrats have 213. This narrow margin is one of the smallest in modern history. If Republicans lose just 3 seats, Democrats will take control of the House. This would mean President Trump would lose much of his power to pass new laws. His ability to push his legislative agenda forward would be greatly limited. Recent elections across the country already showed serious trouble for the Republican Party. In November 2025, they faced important losses in key states. For example, they lost the mayor's race in New York City. They also lost the governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey. These results were strong warning signals, showing that many voters were unhappy. The biggest problem for President Trump and his party is the ongoing affordability crisis. People all over the country are deeply worried about high prices. Everyday essentials like groceries, gas, and utility bills are still too expensive for many families. Polls clearly show that about 68% of voters, including many Republicans, believe the economy is in a very bad state. This widespread concern about the cost of living is exactly why President Trump chose to give his speech in North Carolina. It is the primary issue that could cause voters to change their minds and flip control of Congress. If voters decide to give control of Congress to the Democrats, it would effectively end President Trump's legislative power. He would struggle to pass any new major bills or make significant changes. With his political future hanging in the balance, the entire political world is now watching very closely. They want to see if President Trump's high-risk narrative, his confident story about economic success, can possibly work before time runs out. 8. What happens next? The story reaches its end with a clear conflict. President Donald Trump's strong message of economic success battling the everyday reality of high prices for American voters. The important speech given in Rocky Mount, North Carolina in late 2025 highlighted this struggle. It acted as a crucial test.
Could powerful words and symbolic actions, like the special payment to military members, truly overcome the daily burden of rising costs? For many families across the country, the situation remained difficult. Despite President Trump's claims that he had made the economy the hottest in the world, people continued to worry about affording basic needs. They heard the confident rhetoric from the rally stage, but they also felt the pinch when buying groceries, filling their gas tanks, or paying rent. This wide difference between the president's optimistic narrative and the lived experience of millions created a deep division. The North Carolina speech was a moment to see if this gap could be closed through political messaging alone. The year 2026 will bring significant midterm elections, and voters will deliver their final verdict. They will decide who holds power in Congress.
This choice will not be based on promises made at a lively rally. Instead, it will come from the contents of their wallets and their personal struggles with the cost of living. If families still find daily life too expensive, they may vote for new leadership. If they believe their economic situation has truly improved, they might keep things as they are. This election will reveal much about the country. It will show if a narrative of strength and success is enough to win over an anxious public.
The outcome will decide not only which party controls Congress, but also the very direction of American politics for years to come. Will voters prioritize confident leadership, or will their daily economic reality be the deciding factor? What do you think is more important for voters, a leader's confident words or their own daily experience with prices?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world.